Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So I've been a little bit quiet the last week. Just been super busy with a bunch of stuff and going to be making some modifications to the studio soon. So I've missed a week of videos, but I did want to quickly just sit down and record something. Just covering a pretty simple, but yet very powerful concept when it comes to sound design. So we're going to be talking about layering here. Bitwig obviously makes this very, very easy for us to kind of experiment with as well. Let's dive in. I'm going to just take a look. Right, so I just brought up Synthx here because this is a good example of a lot of synths that in the past have employed this kind of thing just as default in the design of the synthesizer itself, whereby you got bitembrality, something that you see quite often. Even a lot of modern synthesizers now have this as well. Some stuff would have multi-timbrality as well, the workstation keyboards and things. But this kind of idea of having this layer control where you've got voices split between the two layers. And Arturia has this in a couple of their synths. I actually mentioned this in the JP8000 video that I kind of missed this about the original that's not in the plugin, is they didn't do this dual layer architecture in the original 8080 that I had as well. You had this double layer thing that performances and presets essentially, and the performance was a combination of the two. You could either split them or run them on top of each other. And in some cases, just double them up. You know, with this one, you can get some pretty interesting stuff by sticking into stereo link mode. You're essentially duplicating the same voice twice on either side. But there'll be a couple of patches in here which give you really interesting ideas when it comes to sort of layering stuff up. And you'll see there, you've got two completely different patches. So if we were to solo this, got just the pad sound playing there, and then if we come over to the B, it's an entirely different patch that's playing on top of that. So in Bitwig, it's really easy to kind of duplicate this with anything. It could be any of the synths that you own, your favorite synth. It works really well when you combine two synths with different timbres as well, or different characters, like something like a digital synth. If you were to take like a PPG wave or something and layer that over a CS80 or whatever, you know, you can get some pretty interesting stuff. You could do this with Arturia synths as well, actually even through Analog Lab as well if you're not using Bitwig. But let's just take a look, because Bitwig's modulators obviously open up a whole nother sort of area that you can kind of play around with as well and treat these sounds as a single sound, but yet they're made up of different components. So obviously in Bitwig, I've got my favorite synth. I think it's probably one of my favorite plugins, the Repro Prophet 5 from Yuhi. Lovely analog pads that we've got going here. Right, so I've also just gone and picked out ahead of the time just a patch that I quite like. It's the default patch off Imposca 3, which is a from GeForce. I had the old one of this a while back, and they sent me a bunch of copies of the new stuff. I really like the Oberheim stuff that they do. This one's got a really unique, nice tone as well. But I got this kind of brittle, airy sound to this patch. In Bitwig, all you need to do is not group the actual channel itself. If you're doing this in Cubase, you'd have to run these with individual MIDI channels and then send from another channel. Bitwig's a lot easier. Ableton 2, you can have instrument stacks. Just hit Control G there, and we'll create an instrument layer. Now, the layer, we can actually just bring in this one. We'll just actually move it from that channel. We'll just stick this on our layer 2. And now we've got a single instrument that comprises two completely different timbres. Yeah, so let's just play that back. And that's really lovely now. We can maybe just adjust volumes and things slightly. We can do that on the instrument here as well. Let's maybe just pull these down by 3 dB each, just so we can kind of adjust for. There you go. You could even go and add in something additional, like a completely different kind of sound source altogether. And I'll just bring in Polymax here, for example. Mute those two. And we've we've got like a little pluck sound that I've just dialed in here, and I'll just go and add an arpeggiator. And let's have this octave come up here, and we'll just change this to sort of up and down, I guess. So now we've got that component as well. We can actually treat these as individual voices as well. And part of the reason that this is, I've been inspired to kind of just run through this is this guy over here, which I will cover soon. That arrived yesterday, the multi-poly. I've been super impressed with how deep that is. And a lot of that is down to the 4-part multitembrality that you have there. You can do some insane stuff with just layering different sounds and things like that. So let me just, I'll treat this one sort of with its own delay here. You can actually almost push that out right to the sides as well. I can just... just adds a whole nother dimension to the sound. Kind of also want those little arps to kind of come out a little bit more. So this is where things start getting a little bit more interesting. Just modulate some of the filter cutoff on this so we can have that kind of coming in and out of the sound. We obviously want to slow that down quite a bit. And we could also maybe just let's modulate the panning slightly. Should we just have it like a little bit on either side? And we'll do that one maybe a little bit faster, I guess. Let's just use a separate LFO for that. And we'll just modulate this. I'm not going full to either side, just want to get a little bit of there we go, sorry, wrong one. Right, that's really cool. What we could do now as well is to actually just treat the two pad sounds with some additional modulation as well to kind of make them a little bit more interesting. I may want to do this through a sort of live control that I can kind of control stuff together. What I'm going to do here is to just reduce the frequency of the filter here. In fact, I think in this case, this is actually like a band reject or something. I want to be able to create swells with my mod wheel here to kind of just make this more playable. Let's also just come in here and turn this one down slightly. So what I'm going to do is I will bring in the mod wheel, which I believe is on the MIDI input. CC1 will be the mod wheel. We're going to create a macro here now. You could actually do this directly on here as well, but I'm going to create the macro to do this cutoff. And a good way to do this is to just set this to full and then play it back so you can hear where that's going to be. Just adjust that slightly as well. I'm also going to just turn off the effects from this one as well, and off the G-Force one as well. Particularly, I'm not so worried about the delays are fine, but the reverbs tend to get quite messy if you keep piping reverbs into each other. Right, so we've got the cutoff assigned to that now. I want to assign my mod wheel to this cutoff. And then I also want to assign the mod wheel to the filter frequency. If I could just do this one, yeah. to just disable that on one of the synths here as well, because there's some pitch modulation happening there. There, so we've got... And we could actually also just offset the... We've got this one modulating here, but we could actually offset this as well using the same filter, so with these same controls. Let's bring this one back, so it's going to be even more... It'll open up a little bit when we do that. And it's just adding to the modulation that's currently there already. Right, so we've got a filter control. I might do one more thing here as well. Let's also just quickly correct for that mod source that we have here. So I think it's actually coming from this one. We'll just disable the wheel mods for this. And it seems the Polymax as well is also causing that problem. Just remove that envelope mount there because I'm going to actually control that myself. The last thing I'm going to do here is to add one more tool to this to modulate things. I'm actually going to use a tool on this one. And what I'm going to do is then take a... we'll do this with an LFO. And we're going to set this one to a sawtooth down like this. We'll set that to linear as well. We're going to run that at 16th notes. I want to make sure that this is set to sync as well. And this just needs to be... Just have a think actually how this one should work. Might actually need to reverse the saw. So let's go this way rather. Yeah, here we go. And so what we should be getting now is like a stutter effect. And it does kind of decrease the overall volume slightly, so let's just compensate for that. Okay, I like that. I realize I'm kind of getting quite involved here now as well, but it's just maybe just do a little bit more on this. Just a bit of a high shelf on this. Okay, let's see what we come up with now, because this one I'm going to now modulate the amount of this LFO. I may want to just smooth this slightly as well, I think. Just smooth it out just a little bit. So we're going to modulate, this is going to be at 0%, and we'll bring that up as we use the mod wheel. We've turned off the reverb on repro as well. Let's add in a reverb just onto the outside of this. So on the actual master effects bus, we'll bring in a reverb for this. Kind of just run everything through the same effect here. Just play around with this. A really good reverb this. I really enjoy this. Let's take a listen to what we have. It's our sort of bass sound. Let's bring the mod wheel in now. And there you go. Pretty massive, epic, detailed sounds, and I haven't really scratched the surface of actual any sort of sound design inside of the synth. There's no sort of actual playing around with the actual synthesizers themselves. It's purely finding a couple of presets that really kind of complement each other, and then just adding in some interest that kind of works for the sounds that you're using. Like that, I really like kind of using those kind of stutter effects for pad sounds like that. It's pretty easy in Bitwig as well to, because you're working from a single note source here, because of the MIDI presets that you have, well, not presets, the MIDI modules or instruments or whatever, it's pretty easy to just use something like a note transposer as well. So for instance, we want to just play around with getting that an octave up. So yeah, super fluid to play around with, especially if you've got something new. Like I haven't really spent a lot of time with this in Oscar. I don't know the Oscar very well. So instead of, having to find stuff within the controls here, it's pretty simple to just kind of do things like transpose up and down and add in a little bit of gating and things just inside of Bitwig itself once you are familiar with this. And this is obviously super easy to use the modulation sources in Bitwig. Cool. So yeah, go try that out. It's a lot of fun, especially when I'm feeling a little bit uninspired and I'm just trying to, come up with ideas without getting too complicated. Finding a couple of good presets and playing around with them. Sometimes you stumble across some real magic as well. Cool. I will catch you guys soon. Until then, take care. Cheers.